Hello and welcome to Computer Lab Hijinks, a show about games, old software, and web ephemera. And I said it in the right order that time.
There you go.
I'm Nathan.
And I'm Will.
And, on this show, I do some pretty spicy research, pretty delicious research, but sometimes we get it wrong, and sometimes I even admit it.
Ooh.
But I figure why not do a corrections and omissions episode for Wave Race 64?
Ooh, okay.
Have you seen the Wave Race episode yet?
I like to think for a while that I was the show's biggest fan as one of its co-hosts.
Will hates the show.
I'm behind. Yeah, I'm a hater. I just come on to be the kind of soundboard.
So you don't even know what's at the end of that episode.
I do not.
There's a plot twist in the show.
Whoa.
Sort of. First of all, what a great video. Wow, what a great video. Knocked it out of the park. Incredible VO, fun visuals, edited to perfection. We talked about Pitfall.
Ooh.
I have the pop filter so I can do hard plosives. Pitfall.
But there were some pratfalls for I don't have the pop filter, but I'm just enunciating my P's. We have some pratfalls to go over here.
There were some pratfalls. I slipped over a few banana peels in the research. Sometimes we make mistakes. One of them's like really embarrassing, like shockingly bad.
Ooh.
Like, wow, they need to take away this guy's YouTube channel. So one of the mistakes is really bad. But
wow.
Let's lead us through, in order, the omissions that we got there on your ominous paper.
Nathan handed me this, just ominously hands this to me. I have zero context.
Yeah.
It just says, Will notes. And then there's a little space, and then it says omission:music, period.
All right, omission, music. It's not an omission so much as it's a video essay, so it's not a review of the game per se. It's more about the RNG of Wave Race. And we did not talk about the music, which is a big part of that game. So I figure we could discuss that here since we have more space to talk about off-topic things. The music of Wave Race, it's good. Is what I got.
Beautiful.
Incredibly 80s sounding, which is wild. They have these like synth VSTs that are just, it sounds like someone making fun of 80s music almost.
Wow.
Really good tracks. Kind of reminded me of the Gunstar Heroes OST, if you've played that.
I've heard of it. You're
killing me. I'm canceling the show.
Hey, cut me some slack. I'm trying to get through all the Doom games right now.
Oh, okay. Which one are you on?
One. So that tells you how limited my video game experience can be in some capacities.
Very good. So you haven't played Gunstar Heroes because you're busy with episode 1 of Doom.
Yeah.
It's classic. All right.
Truly.
I'll let that one slide. That's that omission. The music is good. You heard it here first.
Whoa. This is hot off the presses.
All right. Okay. What we got next?
Next, omission:own city, period.
Did I write Own City?
Own City.
That's embarrassing. Owl City is what I meant to say. We're going to have to do a corrections for this corrections episode.
Wow.
Anyway.
Oh, goodness.
Owl City. So this didn't come up because I didn't know about it, but Owl City's Adam Young is a huge fan of Wave Race 64.
Ooh.
He had a side project in the 2000s called Dolphin Park, the name of one of the tracks in Wave Race 64. Coincidentally, he was also a member of Swimming with Dolphins, a Christian synth pop group, so maybe he just likes dolphins.
Wow. But
he has performed the Wave Race 64 theme song at his live shows several times, multiple times. And here's a clip.
Which is, I played way too many video games growing up as a kid. There's this one game for the Nintendo 64 called Wave Race, right?
All right, next up, we have omission:textures, period.
Textures, period. All right. So, first of all, the Japanese game has Fanta ads in it, which were removed for the international versions. Ooh. The Wii Virtual Console released replaced all the brands because I guess they didn't have the license anymore. Some of the changes were kind of weird. There were jet ski and Kawasaki ads that were replaced with ads for Nintendo, DS Lite, the Wii, the N64, and just the Nintendo logo.
Wow.
Which is weird because you're adding DS ads into an N64 game. It's kind of uncomfortable to look at. I don't love it. It's like if you were watching like a remaster of Casablanca and someone just dubbed in like skibbity, and you'd be like you'd be like, well, that seems inappropriate for the time. Anyway, I'm not saying it's that egregious, but it's up there.
It's like a weird, George Lucas with his special edition anachronisms, but imagine that, but really weird and all about advertising instead.
Yeah, so that's an interesting texture choice. But this was changed back for the Wii U Virtual Console, which of course everyone played. An awful N64 emulator on the Wii U.
Oh, yeah?
Horrendous input delay.
Ooh.
It's That's perhaps the worst way to play N64 games outside of like 60 Force on the Intel iMac.
Oh, goodness.
That's a niche reference. I think like 10 people used 60 Force on the Intel iMac. Anyway, Wii U, horrible N64 emulation.
Shout outs to those 10 people who will know that deep dive Nathan just made.
All right, next we got the textures, we got the music, we got Owl City.
Now we're changing up to corrections.
Oh, this is where it gets embarrassing.
Okay,
Corrections.
So a correction. Tim Stamper, period.
This one's bad. Folks, I'm proud of my research normally. This one was just straight up embarrassing. Okay, so there was a quote by Tim Stamper, one of the co-founders of Rare, that he said that he suggested the jet ski idea to Nintendo for Wave Race 64. So Wave Race exists as a Game Boy game. N64, Nintendo was working on F-Zero on water. That was just the concept of the game. And then Tim Stamper suggested making that a Wave Race game. So bringing back the jet skis. Tim Stamper, in the video, for some reason, I identified Chris Stamper as the director of Conker's Bad Fur Day. That is someone completely different. That is Chris Seaver. I don't know how I made this. I think I know where this mistake comes from, which is that I was watching someone else's YouTube video where they made that mistake, but that's on me. This one's on me. That one just got stuck in my head, and I got the name right in the video at least, but then I just said director of Conker's Bad Fur Day. Yeah, that one's I'm just gonna cross that one out on my list. It's so embarrassing. I don't even want to think about it anymore. Just cross that
I don't
all
even
out.
want to be here anymore.
There we go. Classic.
I'm getting bad with my reference-heavy humor these past few podcast episodes, or forthcoming, depending on the order of which they are released.
Depending on the order, but there's been some really good references so far. All right, what do we got next?
So, correction, whole level RNG /
Yes. Okay. This. The concept of the video essentially is that the moment-to-moment gameplay of the waves, the animation of the waves, is created through the use of Perlin noise, fractal noise, and or RNG. And so the vertices weren't animated by hand. They were, in fact, created using randomizer algorithms, probably in a plugin in Alias Wavefront. Nowadays, what we would call Maya. Artists were using the tools of RNG to create these waves and create them in a way that was unpredictable in the moment-to-moment gameplay. I think some of the comments misunderstood what I meant by RNG. Like, I wasn't trying to suggest that there's no artistry involved, but rather it's still handmade, but it is created using computer software, which is in fact how games work. So I'm not sure I understand where that complaint's coming from. But one thing I failed to mention is that there are scripted big waves in the game. There's parts of each course where big waves are just scheduled to come, and it's actually a sine wave on top of the RNG. So there's still RNG involved, but it's a sine wave added to the calculations. The waves are not, of course, completely random, nor did I argue that in the video, but there's, of course, game design involved. Every game that has RNG is still a game with design.
Yeah.
Doom has RNG. Pitfall has RNG. Anyway, that's me getting defensive about the RNG comment. So it is an omission that I failed to mention that there are scripted waves in the game, which are a big part of almost every level in the game. So that's an omission, but I wouldn't say a correction. All right, and we're down to the final correction. This one's also a doozy.
Last but not least, this is what, when I consulted and took a first glance at these notes, I was mightily confused because the last one here is correction : Anaheim Ducks, no
Yes.
punctuation.
So you have not seen the episode, so you just have to take my word for this.
Okay.
So in the episode, I briefly implied that the screenplay for God damn it. I briefly implied that the screenplay for Mighty Ducks 2 was written by Shirley Jackson, but she passed away. I'm not doing this bit at all.
You say this while you're laughing. She passed away.
She passed away in 1965, several decades before the franchise would begin.
Wow.
Now that's just sloppy writing. And it would be an even better bit if I got through it without laughing. But anyway.
Goodness.
Those are our corrections, errors, omissions, whatever you want to call them. We've completed the Wave Race saga.
Ooh.
And of course, we have our video on Wave Race Blue Storm that you can access. And Will doesn't know this yet because he hasn't seen the episode. But the Blue Storm review is on Patreon. And you can follow the show. And we have 4 patrons.
I did not know we had a Patreon.
We're on Patreon.
Wow.
And Will doesn't know because he doesn't watch the uploads. Anyway, that's the Wave Race corrections and omissions. How does it feel?
It's nice that we get to do sort of an addendum like this for the first time. We've been ruminating on it a bit, and I think there were talks to do something a bit more like wide scale about our corrections and kind of all in one. But this is a good start, I feel like, and I still need to get back to watching the video so I can know what the heck we are correcting and omitting.
Yes. Well, as far as you're concerned, we are now 100% correct. Well, thank you for watching the corrections episode, the corrections and omissions of Wave Race 64. I'm Nathan.
And I'm Will.
Telling you to keep your files safe, keep your passwords managed, and for goodness sake, don't click on any strange links. We'll see you at some point. I think we'll see you next week.
Some point. Somewhere in the distant time.
We'll see you in a week.